chanting are very prominent in the Vaikuntha world. Doesn't see Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamy Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Vaikuntha atmosphere is further elaborated. See, all the discussions were happening between Lord Brahma and the demigods. So Lord Brahma is explaining the experience of Kumaras when they entered Vaikuntha. So this is the scenario where what the Kumaras were observing in Vaikuntha. Paravata Anyabrata Sarasa Chakravaka. The various kinds of birds which are in Satvika, Paravata, pigeons, Anyabrata, cuckoo, Sarasa, cranes, Chakravaka, Dhatuhya Hamsa Shukatittiri Barhinamyaha. These are all famous birds which are all prominent in Vaikuntha Loka. Kola halo viramate achiramatra muchaihi. Kola halaha. See, when many birds are there, they start talking or singing in their own way. So it was a tumultuous sound. It was a sound which is a mixture of various different elements. Achiramatram viramate. They all stopped temporarily. Viramate means they stopped. For what? Uchehi Brungatipe Harikatam iva gayamanahi. Brungatipaha, the king of the bumblebees, when he started singing Gayamane, Uchehi, in high pitch. What is he singing? Harikatam iva. He started singing the glories of the Lord, or his singing was like singing the glories of the Lord. All the other birds, transcendental birds, stopped their own sounds to hear the glories of the Lord. So in this way, Vaikuntha atmosphere has been explained in the purport here. The situation in spiritual sky is that everything is spiritual and variegated. Spiritual variegatedness means that everything is animate, there is nothing inanimate. So the contrast between material world and the spiritual world has been elaborated. There everything has a feeling. Water, river, trees, plants, birds, bees, everything are personal and everything are Krishna conscious and everybody wants to serve the Lord. In the material world, nobody wants to serve the Lord, everybody are acting like dead matter. So that is the difference, animate versus inanimate. We are all living, but we are living as if we are dead. We are do routine work like a machine. Suyantritaha, we work like a machine. But in the spiritual world, everything is animate and everybody are conscious of the Lord and everybody wants to serve the Lord. This is first difference. The special feature of Vaikuntha is that there is no question of sense gratification. See, everybody are living and everybody are trying to serve the Lord with no personal motives. Nobody is interested in their own sense gratification. So in Vaikuntha, there is no sense gratification. Material world, only sense gratification. This is the second difference. Then, the principles of devotional service beginning with hearing and chanting are very prominent in Vaikuntha Loka. So there, the prime principle, Shravana Kirtana, is very prominent. Here, we have to be artificially be reminded that we have to engage in Harikatha. There naturally everybody are engaged in Harikatha. That's a spontaneous situation. Here we are forced to come to that platform. Now Prabhupada, when he started saying about what is sense gratification in various places, we will understand the technical aspects of what is sense gratification to material world in the spiritual world. Spiritual world also there is gratification, but gratification of Krishna senses. So the contrast between material sense gratification and spiritual sense gratification in the words of Prabhupada. Sense gratification means domination over material nature. The whole competition between conditioned souls is based upon domination of this material nature. So everybody wants to prove, I am the supreme in this material world. Everything, this is lording over tendency. This is the basic nature in the material world. So sense gratification means lording over tendency. Advancement of material civilization on the basis of sense gratification means increasing the duration of material existence of a living entity. What is problem with sense gratification? Third chapter Krishna says, Adyantavanta Kaunteya. There is an Adi, there is an Anta. It has a beginning, it has an end. But the problem is sense gratification comes with karma. Karma means it increases our cycle of birth and death. So this is the second point. Next, we must know sense gratification means material life. It may be systematic or non-systematic. You may have regular sense gratification or irregular sense gratification. Anything material is destined to be binding us here. Unrestricted sense gratification means karma bandhana, bound up by the laws of karma. And bound up by the laws of karma means repetition of birth and death in different species. Then people may think, okay, I'll enjoy sense gratification and next life I'll become again human, I'll continue my sense gratification. No sir, you cannot continue. You have to go in this again different 84 lakh species based on your karma with the sense gratification. Sense gratification means economic development. Without economic development, we cannot enjoy our senses. But everything should be based on religion, that is human civilization. So generally, what is this? Generally, people aspire, society aspires for 4 things. This is called as Chatuk Purushartha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. This is how society is inclined to proceed further. Live religiously, Dharma, earn money nicely. When you get money, use it for little sense gratification, use it for charity, use it for personal things. In that way, once you are vexed up with this material life, think of moksha. But Bhakti, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's principle is beyond these 4 Purusharthas. He says Panchama Purushartha, that is main thing. What is that Panchama Purushartha? Prema Pumartho Mahan, love of Godhead is the ultimate goal and it is the only thing for the living entity in this material world which is different from animals to humans. So generally when we say, Prabhupada always says, follow 4 regulative principles and chant Hare Krishna. Why he says follow 4 regulative principles first? Is there any significance? What does these regulative principles impact upon us? What are the 4 regulative principles? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, no illicit sex. These are the 4 pillars of dharma which break. These 4 things will break the 4 pillars of dharma. Compassion, austerity, truthfulness and cleanliness. So what is the difference when you come to the platform of dharma means you come to the platform of human life. If you don't follow these 4 regulative principles, you are in the platform of animal life. So rise to the human platform by following 4 regulative principles. From human platform, ask access for spiritual world, that is chant Hare Krishna. Understood now? Follow 4 regulative principles and chant 16 rounds means come to the human platform, then elevate to the spiritual platform. That is the understanding for us. Then sense gratification means you are creating some danger, in some near danger, some future danger. We should always remember all our troubles and miseries are due to sense gratification. Today I enjoy, I have to suffer tomorrow. It may be little now or little further, but I am creating my own misfortune because I am trying to enjoy something which is not destined. People become diseased by sense gratification. Everybody knows too much sense gratification means creating disease. So what is problem? See, too much sense gratification again leads to disease, which is again suffering. Without Krishna consciousness, anyone who acts, he acts only sinfully. Because every interaction deals with either harming some living entity or exploiting some living entity. You want to enjoy means you want to dominate over somebody, you want to exploit somebody, you want to ruin somebody. So it is only sinful activity. Sense gratification, any activity without Krishna consciousness, it is only a sinful life. There is no doubt of it because he is acting for sense gratification, and sense gratification means almost 99.99% all sinful activities. Sense gratification means we are becoming implicated in the laws of nature. Your sense gratification means you are after happiness, but this happiness is temporary, and any material happiness, it has no continuity, it has got a limit. Sense gratification means udara upastha jihvaha. We are trying to satisfy the 3 things in sense gratification: the tongue, the belly, and the genitals. The tongue and the belly and the genitals. This is the prime sense gratification sources. Very palatable dishes, fill up the belly as much as possible, then enjoy sex. This is material. In the spiritual world, these things are absent. Again, contrast. Material world, the three primary senses are meant for sense enjoyment are tongue, belly and the genitals. But in the spiritual world, these three things does not exist. Means they will not have that impact in the spiritual world. We eat, but we eat prasadam. So in that way, there is no sense gratification there. In that we are getting mercy of the Lord there. In the material world, there are activities for sense gratification, whereas in the spiritual world, there are activities in Krishna consciousness. So there are activities. It's not that people, there is no activity in the Vaikuntha world, it is all no variety. No, there is every variety, there is every activity. But every activity is there for the service of the Lord. Here every activity is for my personal purpose. The living entities are engaged in their respective activities of sense gratification, and these activities are not ordained by the Lord. See, what is the problem with the sense gratification? These are not ordered by the Lord. That is the problem. Because it is not ordered by the Lord, we have to suffer for this. So, Dhruva Maharaj quotes one sloka in Bhagavatam and he says, Viraktascha indriya ratau bhakti yogena bhuyasa tam nirantara bhavena bhajeta adda vimuktaye. Bhuyasa vimuktaye. If one is serious about liberation, if one is seriously endeavoring for mukti in this material world, Bhuyasa vimuktaye, bhajeta adda bhakti yogena. He must stick to the process of transcendental devotional service. Bhajeta adha bhakti yogena. He has to firmly fix to bhakti. How? Tam nirantara bhavena. 24 hours engaging the service of the Lord in highest ecstasy. Nirantara bhavena. Nirantara means completely 24 hours always. Bhavena means in ecstasy. Then, viraktascha indriya ratau, and he must certainly be aloof from all activities of sense gratification. So, why? If you are aspiring for liberation means, you should be completely detached from sense gratification. One side we say, I enjoy senses, and other side we say, I am engaged, I am trying to get liberated means it is not possible. One is going into negative side, the other is going into positive side. Both are in contrast direction. So, we cannot enjoy sense gratification and simultaneously we say, I will practice bhakti. No, not possible. When you are committed for bhakti means you have to discard sense gratification. So, in Bhagavatam, the Vaikuntha atmosphere or Goloka Vrindavana's experience is been elaborated when Krishna went to forest. So what Krishna was observing when these birds and all these beasts, when they are all around, how the world existed during Krishna's time, Bhagavatam explains. Vrindavanam Sakhi Bhuvo Vitanoti Kirtim. The Sakhis are glorifying Vrindavana. Vrindavanam Bhuvo Vitanoti Kirtim. This land of Vrindavana is glorifying the earth. Or Vrindavana is spreading the glory of the earth. Why? Yet Devaki Sutta Padambuja Labda Lakshmi. Because this earth, this Vrindavana became glorified because of Krishna's lotus feet being implanted everywhere. Krishna was roaming everywhere. When Krishna was roaming, his lotus feet implants was there everywhere. Because of the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord, Vrindavana became glorious. Because Vrindavana became glorious, earth became glorious. Govinda Venumanu Matta Mayura Nrutyam. Govinda Venum, by hearing the flute of Krishna, Anu following behind him, Mayura, the peacocks, Mattaha became intoxicated and Nrutyam, they started dancing. The peacocks became ecstatic by hearing the flute of Lord Krishna and they started dancing. And Preksha Adrisanau Avataranya Samasta Sattvam. Then all the other creatures which were there, Adristanaha, where they are on the top of the hillocks. See, Krishna used to play around Govardhana hill. So when he was at the bottom, all the other animals which were there on the top of the Govardhana hill, who are hearing to Krishna's flute and who are seeing the peacocks dancing, they all became stunned. Avartanaya Samasta Sattvam, all living entities, Samasta Sattvam, Avartanaya, they became like a stunned, they became like frozen. They all became ecstatic and they became meditative dolls because by hearing Krishna's flute. Next further it says, Dhyanasma Modagatayopi Harinya Etaha. The Harinya, this deer which are little foolish, Moda Matayaha, Dhyanahasma, they almost look like they are engaged in meditation. See, Harinyaha means deer, they like flute music. How a hunter captures deer, he plays nice flute. When he plays nice flute, the deer becomes ecstatic, it becomes silent, it becomes closed its eyes and it goes into a meditative posture, then he will attack. So here also the Harinyaha, which are Modagatayaha, which are foolish, Dhyanasma api, they all went into meditation. For what? Ya Nanda Nandanam Upata Vichitra Vesham. By Nanda Nandanaha, by Lord Krishna, Upatya Vichitra Vesham, he is variegatedly dressed. Lord Krishna, when he is variegatedly dressed, Akaranya Venu Ranitam, by hearing Akaranya, Jai Shri Radha Govindaki. Venu Ranitam, the flute, the sound which is emanating from Krishna's flute, Nanda Nandanaha, Venu Ratinam, Akaranya, by hearing. Saha Krishna Saraha, along with the males. There are deer and there are does. The males and females, Saha Krishna Saraha. Pujam Daduhu, they started worshipping the Lord. They started offering respects to the Lord. Pujam Daduhu. Virachitam Pranayavalokanaihi, and they with affectionate, mild glances, they started loving the Supreme Lord and they started attracting the Lord by their sweet, smiling, attractive glances. They started worshipping the Lord with looks of love and affection. Pujam Dadur Virachitam Pranayavalokai. By their looks itself, they started worshipping, by their eyes itself, they started worshipping the Lord with their love and affection. Gavasya Krishna Mukha Niragita Venu Gita Piyusham. Gavaha, now the cows. Now we heard about how peacocks were dancing. Then we heard how the deer were responding to Krishna's flute. Now how the cows were responding. Gavasya Krishna Mukha Nirgata Venu Gita. As the continuous sound from Krishna's flute was coming, all the cows, Gavasya, Piyusham, they started drinking. What they were drinking? Krishna's flute music. How they were drinking? Utthabita Karna Putaihi. The Amrita which is coming from Krishna's flute, they upraised their ears and they started drinking them as their vessels. So through their ears they were drinking the Krishna's flute. Pibantyaha, they started aswadana, they started relishing Krishna's flute. Savaha snutastana payaha kavala smatashtuhu. All the calves which were at that time, what were calves doing? They were drinking milk. Their mouths were full of milk from the udders of their mothers. They were simultaneously drinking milk, but when they heard Krishna's flute, tatastuhu, they all became like dolls. They all became like a statue. They all became like a statue. Govindam Atmani Dashashru Kala Sprushantyaha. So Govindam Atmani, they started inviting the Lord within them. Govinda Atmani Dasha Ashru Kalaha Sprushantyaha, and they started embracing with their eyes, with their full of tears. All the calves, they started embracing Lord Krishna with their eyes, with full of tears. They are in full ecstasy. This is about cows and calves. Next. Sarasi Sarasa Hamsa Vihangaha Charu Grita Hruta Chesa Etya. All the other birds. Sarasi, Sarasa, Hamsa, Vihangaha means those which are cranes, swans, which are there in that water in the lakes. Charu Grita Hruta Chesata Etyaha. They all minds became forgotten. They don't know what is happening to them when they heard Krishna's flute. Harim Upasate Te Yatachittaha. They all approached the Lord. Harim Upasate. They started worshipping him. They approached the Lord Hari. Hanta Milita Drusho Druta Maunaha. They were almost like Milita Drushaha with their closed eyes. Hantaha. It's like a wonderful situation. And are Druta Maunaha. And are all completely became silent. They are all in like Samadhi. When they heard Krishna's flute, they approached the Lord. They started worshipping the Lord. They all went into Samadhi, meditation. Next, in some other place, in not one more context, the good fortune of the forest animals of Vrindavana is again explained. Ete alinaha tavayasho akila loka tirtam gayanta adi purusham anupatam bhajante. So, Anaga, O my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality, O good fortune personified, Adi Purushaha, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, Yete alinaha tavayasho gayantaha, all the bees, bumblebees, tavayashaha gayantaha, they started glorifying Krishna's glories. They are singing Krishna's glories. Akila loka tirtam, when somebody hears that glories, what will happen? Akila loka tirtam, all the planets and all the other things will become purified when they hear that the singing of the glories of the Lord. Akila loka tirtam. Indeed, anupatam, they started following the path of the Lord in the forest in which Krishna is going. And bhajante, they started worshipping the Lord. Prayo ami munaganaha, they are almost like prayaha, almost like sages in the forest. These bees are like sages in the forest, muniganaha. How? Bhavadiya Mukyahan, they have taken the form of the bees who are your prime associates. Because Krishna always wears garland, and that garland is ever fresh, and that has so much honey, the bees are always constant companions of the Lord. It's why they are mentioned as Bhavadiya Mukya, they are your constant, very dear associates. And Guda Manepi, and you are acting like a human being in a confidential way, and you are roaming around these forests of Vrindavana. Oh Lord Krishna, you are acting like a forest cowhead boy. Gudam Vane Api, Na Jahati Anugata Atma Devam, they could not forget you as their worshipable deity. Even though the bees are always running behind you, they always know you are their supreme deity, and they started worshipping you. So this is about the bees. Further, Nrutyanti Ami Shikana Ija Muda Harinyaha. Oh my dear worshipable Lord, Nrutyanti Ami Shikanaha Mudaha. The peacocks became very happy and they started dancing. Then Harinyaha Kurvanti Te Priyam Ikshanena. The does were pleasing you with affectionate glances. Ikshanena. Then Gopya Iva, like gopis, how by glancing upon the Lord they become happy. The deer, by glancing upon Krishna, they also became happy by seeing Krishna. And Suktesha Kokila Ganaha, and the cuckoos are honoring you with Vedic prayers. Cuckoos, Kokila is good for singing, they nicely make sounds. So they started singing Vedic hymns for you, for your pleasure. And Danya Vanokashaha, all the residents of this forest became very fortunate to hear all these glories. The bees singing, the cuckoo singing, the birds singing, all the other animals, they became fortunate, the residents of Vrindavana. And Iyan hi satam nisargaha, and their behavior towards you certainly befits great souls. Because Graham Agataya, receiving another great soul at home. Because they saw your great personality entering the forest. So they all were very happy that a great personality has come to their home. See, forest animals, they stay in the forest. Krishna stays in the village. So Krishna went to the forest. It is like a great personality came to their home. So they all felt very happy, it seems. Then further response. Kvachit gayati gayatsu mada andalishu anuvrataihi. The honeybees in Vrindavana became so ecstatic, so mad with ecstasy that they closed their eyes and began to sing. Upagiya mana charitaha. What are they singing? The glories of the Lord Krishna. Upagiya mana charitaha. Pati Sankarshana Anvitaha. On the forest path where Krishna was traveling along with Balarama, Sankarshana Anvitaha, along with Lord Balarama, and Anuvrataihi, and all with the cowherd boys were all there when Krishna was in the forest. Anujalpati Jalpati Nam. And when Krishna, what is he doing when he was doing? He would imitate he would respond to the bees by imitating their singing. Then Kalavakye Shukam Kvachit. Sometimes Krishna is imitating Shukam, a parrot. Kvachit Valgu Kujitam. Then sometimes he is imitating the cuckoo. Kvachitsa Valgu Kujatam Anujati Kokilam, Kvachitcha Kalahamsanam Anujati Kujitam. Sometimes he is imitating the cries of a swan. Abhivrutyati Nrutyatam Barhinam, sometimes imitating the dance of a peacock. Hasayan, and he is making all his cowherd boys laugh. Then Kvachit Mega Gambiraya Vachaha, sometimes he is talking like a deep rumbling of a clouds. Then Kvachit Ahvayati Pritya Namabir Duragan Pasum, sometimes he is calling all the animals which had gone away forest into the deeper forest by their names. When he was calling, they are all responding to him. Thus, Go Gopalak Manojnaya, he was enchanting all the cows and cowherd boys by his various activities. By imitating birds, by imitating the dancing of the peacocks, by calling them boys or cows or calves by their names, he was giving pleasure. When Krishna was calling, they all know, Krishna is remembering me, they all became happy. It was giving pleasure to all the entities, they are all in the forest. And finally it says, Chakora Krauncha Chakravaha Bharadvajamsha Barhinaha Anurotisma Sattvanam Beetavad Vyagra Simhayaha. So sometimes he would cry out in imitation of all the birds and the forest, and sometimes he would run away like a smaller animals in showing in fear of lions and tigers. So Krishna was imitating like that animals, how they used to, when lions or tiger sound was there, all the small animals will run away. Krishna used to mock them by running away like he is also like that small animal. So he is imitating the forest life. He is enjoying that forest animals, their association. All the boys are enjoying their association. All the animals are enjoying the Krishna's and Krishna's boys association. In that way, the Vaikuntha atmosphere is, one is giving pleasure to the other. The boys and the cows, Krishna is trying to give pleasure to the animals there, and the animals are trying to serve the Lord by giving him pleasure. This is the Vaikuntha atmosphere. So similarly, in the spiritual world also, in the material world also, there are pure devotees who work for the satisfaction of the Lord, not for their sense gratification. So one such personality was Shabari. We all know very small episode of her life. One day Ramachandra came to her ashrama and she fed the fruits by tasting them personally. But who is she? What was her back life? The details were explained in other Puranas and Ramayana also, some places. Actually, Shabari was a hunter's daughter and belonged to the Nishada community. So when she was of youthful age, her marriage was decided. And the night before her marriage, she saw outside her house some thousands of animals were brought to feed all the guests who were coming for the marriage. See, for them, forest people, what is their luxury? So for them, this meat of the animals was their luxury to serve the guests. When she saw so many animals being sacrificed for her marriage, she became very compassionate. For me to get married, I am killing so many animals. So she became very compassionate and she ran away from the house. She ran away from the house, she went to a nearby ashramas and she came to the area called as Rishyamukha Parvata. Kishkinda area, you know, Hampi and all that areas around that area is called as Rishyamukhi Parvata area. She came there and she approached various ashramas there for shelter because she wanted to serve the Lord under the guidance of devotees. But people were only seeing her external features because she is coming from a lower background. So that too, women, they don't want to take shelter, they don't want to give shelter to her. But there was one more great devotee in that area by name Matanga Rishi, who was a liberated personality, who was not on the bodily platform. So he saw her sincerity in bhakti, so he engaged her in her ashram. So she used to stay there, she used to bring all the necessities for the Swamiji, she used to go to forest, collect wood, she used to pluck flowers, she used to wash the vessels, she used to wash his clothes. So she used to do personally all his services and she used to arrange everything for his seva to the Lord. In that way, everything was going on very nicely. After some time, when Swamiji became old, this Matanga Rishi, he called her by his side and he said, very soon I will be quitting, my life has come to an end, but I have one service for you. So one day, Ramachandra will come in search of his wife Sita. So there is a duty which you have to perform. So you have to give him guidance of where to go, which direction to go, and be ready for the day. And he passed away. So she could not bear the separation from her guru. But Ajna of the guru is very important to practice. So she started from that day she started waiting for the Lord. Every day she used to clean the ashrama. She used to keep ready as if that day Lord Ramachandra will come. Because one day Ramachandra will come. Which day he will come, we don't know. And this was when she was younger. And Ramachandra came when she became old, when she was not able to walk only properly. But every day she was making arrangements. She was cleaning the ashrama, she was putting like rangoli. When you invite a guest, you decorate the house. So every day she was decorating the house. Every day she was keeping fruits, flowers for every day for the visitor. When he comes, he should have drinking water, cool drinking water. So every day she was doing her duties. So when she became old, one day Lord Ramachandra came there. So her life became very because she was able to fulfill the desire of her guru. She became very ecstatic, and in ecstasy she was in confusion how to receive the Lord also. In extreme happiness she was also confused. She invited the Lord, gave him a seat to sit down, and she washed his feet, and then she gave some drinking water, then she brought some fruits, and in ecstasy she was like in a motherly feeling. She started tasting each fruit. Like mother, when she makes the food, she will taste whether it is hot or what, whether it is spicy or what, whether it is any other feeling, so that baby can easily digest or not. Baby should not feel any inconvenience. In a motherly mood, she started checking each fruit. Whichever is sweeter, she started serving to the Lord, and whichever is lot sweeter, she used to throw away. Which was the fruit what you were serving? We call it berry phala. Berry phala means regpallu. Shabari phala they are called as. So when she started serving and Ramachandra was about to eat, Lakshmana said, no, they are not qualified to be eaten, because they are all juta fruits. Somebody is eating and they are giving it to you. Lord Ramachandra said, she is giving with such a motherly feeling. Never ever in my life I have tasted like these fruits. Like the fruit which was bitten by parrot, when it becomes sweeter, these are that fruits like which is bitten by a pure devotee. So they became much sweeter. I am relishing them more than naturally offered by directly that fruit. So Ramachandra ate that fruit, he became very happy, and at the end she also gave the instruction. Finally Ramachandra asked her, what benediction do you want? She said, I don't want any benediction. I just want to go to the planet where my guru is there, Matang Rishi, and I want to be in his service eternally there as his maid servant. See her sincerity. When opportunity has been given, she could have asked, I could go to Vaikuntha and I could enjoy with your association. Her commitment to her guru was so severe. She is saying, I don't want even you. I want to be as a maid servant of my guru only. See that sincerity. See, because guru is the one who has given us direction to the Lord. We should never ever forget the guru's help, what we get in our life. So our commitment is to guru only, because we don't know who Krishna is. We never saw Krishna. Because Guru is engaging me in Krishna service. My insignificant service, Lord is accepting only because Guru has given me the shelter. That's why Krishna is accepting our insignificant service. So our indebtedness is there to our spiritual master. Our indebtedness is there to our Prabhupada. Because we are all unfortunate, unqualified people. But still, He has given us an opportunity to engage in the service of the Lord. So this is one version. There is one more version which says about how, because there are many Ramayanas, different versions of Ramayanas. One more version says how Ramachandra and Shabari met. So there was a beautiful lake in that area called as Pampasara. So near her Guru's ashrama, so every day she used to go and pick up water from there for the services of the Guru and the deities there, drinking water. So at that time there are many sages there who are all sitting there. So one day there was one Brahmana who was sitting there and who was doing meditation. When he saw Shabari there, he immediately got reminded of her low birth. And he started scolding her, our low birth people should not come here. If you touch this, water will become impurified. We cannot use them for our purposes, for homas and for the service of the Lord, we cannot use them. But still she went and she tried to pick water. So immediately he became angry. He took one stone and threw it, Shabari. As soon as the stone hit her, a drop of blood fell into the water, and immediately that water became red. It became like a blood. The entire lake became like a blood. So immediately he started scolding, see, by the touch of your lady, the entire water became blood. And he started scolding, and he went and he brought all the other people also. He said, see, this untouchable lady touched on this, all this water became impure. Then he started saying, now how to purify when there is blood water? This is the only source for their survival, either for their drinking or for their worship and all these things. Then they started invoking all the special rivers. They brought all the special rivers. They did special yajnas. Water did not change. It remained in the blood state only. And finally they got to know that Ramachandra is coming by that path. So they all went to Lord Ramachandra and requested, sir, my dear sir, please come. So by your touch, by your feet's touch, the stone became Ahalya. This river became blood. Please purify this blood. We are not able to do our Nitya Krityas. So Ramachandra asked, what should I do? You are all great personalities. So if you cannot do, what can I do? No, sir, you are great personality, you should come. So they are asked, you all please touch your feet to the water. So then Lord Ramachandra touched his feet, that still that water became blood only. Then they all said, please sip that water and spit it out. That Ramachandra, when he was about to sip, Lakshmana reminded, brother, it is blood. But still, sages were requesting, he sipped a bit and he spit it back, but it remained as blood. Then they asked, how did this happen? So then that one Brahmana was there, who hit Shabari. Because of this, all this blood became, a drop of blood fell into that river and it became like a blood. Then Ramachandra said, it is my blood, how can I purify my blood? Because you hit that devotee, the blood which fell from her body is my blood and I cannot purify my blood. So immediately said, go and drink Shabari. So some people went to her ashrama to immediately call her. As soon as she heard that Lord Ramachandra has come, she came running. While she started running while on the lake path, some dust from her lotus feet fell into the river and immediately the river became normal like pure drinking water. Then Ramachandra tried to show, this is the glory of a pure devotee. If you offend a devotee, what will happen? But the grace of the pure devotee, again it became revived. They all became understood the glories of Shabari, a pure devotee. Then immediately she came, she fell down at the Lord's feet, she took her to her ashrama, and the other story continues of she fed the Lord Ramachandra, the fruits and other things. So see the perspective. Pure devotees, how potent they are. They are all personally representing the Lord in this material world. Since Lord hardly comes to this material world, he sends his representatives as pure devotees to us, so that by their life, by their instructions, by their association, we all become purified and we get an opportunity to engage in the service of the Lord. So that is such is the great personalities and their katha. So I'll stop here. Any questions? This is Vaikuntha atmosphere to material atmosphere. So how Vaikuntha things exist and how material consciousness exist. So that is a contrast what we see in that life. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु शिला प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद।